Hello everyone, welcome back to LK Cloud Tech. Today we are discussing about Tricentis Tosca buffer action mode. Okay, previously we discussed about the different types of regular expressions and action modes, identifiers, identified by image, identified by anchor, identified by and so properties and all. And also we have seen TCP also, the one of the most important topic also we have seen the previous. And today we are going to discuss very important topic, which is buffer action mode. This buffer and TCP has a relation actually. Last class we completely we have seen different expressions and the different examples, and we have ran test cases also on top of TCP, and we have created examples also how we created some usernames and passwords on top of TCP, and also we used that TCP related values we have connected with the test cases, and those we have discussed very thoroughly, and we have seen a lot of examples, so that very much understandable examples. And now this we are going to talk about buffer action mode. Okay, this is also similar to TCP, but there is a difference. Okay, but not exactly similar. Yeah, it is similar use case, some kind of. So yeah, that's how. Okay, next we'll talk about this regular expressions. We regular expressions also we have seen, and I did not upload it yet. That I will upload that soon. And now today talking about buffer action mode. So what is the meaning of buffer action mode? Okay, so buffer reference refers to values that can be saved or stored temporarily in Tosca command, and can be used these buffer values wherever it is required. Simple, general language. So buffer refers to the values that can be saved or stored. TCP also can be saved and stored. We can call them wherever it is want, wherever it is needed. The same buffer also you can save and store the values. You can also call it as wherever it is required. It is also looks almost similar. 90% matches. But where is the difference? Difference we'll talk it later. But you try to understand the buffer action mode first. Okay, so those in test cases and buffer TCP action mode, you might have seen that root level credentials, root level TCP, and project level TCP, and a test case level TCP, and you have called from there itself. But buffer action mode is not like that. You can store in the buffers, you see. So in tools there is many word, right? In this, in tools you see here buffer viewer, you will store all these at one place, and you can use these reusable, you can use all these, you can reuse it. Okay, in different multiple workspaces also you can use it. That is an advantage. Okay, buffer refers to the value that can be saved or stored temporarily in Tosca command, and can be used these buffer values wherever required. Okay, there are two types of buffer value buffer actions available. Okay, two different types of buffers are available in Tosca. One is static buffer, the other one is dynamic buffer. Okay, in buffer action mode, these two different are very important. Static buffer can be used reusability. Okay, so what is a buffer in Tosca? You can understand, please. Buffer in Tosca is a temporary memory storage where you can store the values during the test execution and reuse it later. Okay, try to understand this. Example, if captured, if you capture a generated order ID, okay, if an application you can store in a buffer, and then you use it next test steps also. Okay, so example like searching that order, verifying it, or passing it to the another module. Okay, so what is the main use of buffer? To store the dynamic values like IDs, names, emails, random numbers of token, okay, tokens, etc. Okay, so to reuse the values across test steps, test cases, or even multiple test cases, to avoid hard coding data and makes test more data driven. Okay, where to use the buffer? Whenever an application generates runtime value that you need to again in the same or next steps. Okay, you can use in the same or else for next steps also you can use those. Okay, example login. Application generates a session ID. Okay, you store it to the buffer. Okay, use it as a API call header using buffer. Okay, example e-commerce is there. You can capture order number. After placing use it, you can track the order number, right? So how to use buffer? So you can set the buffer, you can get the buffer. Use the SetBuffer module in Tosca to save the value. Syntax example. You can see I have mentioned here. Think yeah, something like this. Okay, this is like this. B order ID, something kind of. Okay. So how to get the buffer? Use buffer syntax whenever you need it. Okay. Example in Tosca, test to step instead of writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 something, you can call using this syntax. So why to use buffer? Because in real testing values change dynamically. Without buffer, you would have to hard code values. Okay, test cases. All for example, lot of test cases are there. These many test cases, every value, everywhere. If you want to use that, everywhere if you want to use that, then that would be is really hard. So if you have 10 to 20 is it, that's okay. But thing is if you want to use this and hundreds of test cases everywhere, if you want to hard code, that is really difficult. Okay, with buffer you can test to become flexible, reusable, and robust. Okay, why we need buffer if already TCP was there? This is actually question. TCP in Tosca equal to Tosca commander processor. TCP is a engine that executes command, waits, synchronizes the etc. Synchronizes that waits, commands, waits, synchronizes, that will do like that. Buffer is a just a memory storage to hold the values. What is the difference? TCP is equal to execution engine. Okay, buffer equal to storage. You try to understand. So which means TCP runs the test cases, handles synchronization, all these things will do. What buffer does? It stores the values, okay, and holds the runtime value of for reuse purpose. Okay, that is the difference. Okay, yeah, let's for example in real time scenario, you'll have e-commerce order flow. So user logins e-commerce site, user places order. Okay, next system generates unique order ID. Okay, it's invoice number, something kind of. So same order ID must be used used later to track the order or in an API call, right? So the order you can able to use it for call it, right, to see the order details later. Okay, so how to create the steps? So login, place order, track order, synchronization, so like that. That's how. In short, you can say buffer is a kind of temporary memory. So whatever it is getting from the application, okay, that dynamic values it will store. Okay, it will store. After that, you can use it later. That is called as reusable. Why we need to use? Because in real-time applications, all continuously will get new values. Every time generates the new values. Okay, if that values hard code, okay, you can test case if the hard code in the sense if continuously generates what happens, test case will get fail. Okay, if you use buffer, if for suppose example, if there is a buffer actually, in that buffer there is a chances to change the frequently changing the values. So what happens is, if it is in test case somewhere, if you call with the old name, it will fail. Okay, if it is continuously changing, we can, wherever it is continuously flow happens dynamically, so then we can use the buffer. If you use the buffer, the flexible and reusable purpose, it will be useful wherever the changes happening. If there is no changes happen, you can use a static buffer. Wherever the changes happen, you can use the dynamic buffer. Got it? So that's how. So let's see, let's try to create, and I'll try to make you to understand this. Okay, all right, let me, yeah, okay. So you can consider this as buffers one. Next, I will try to create one more folder. This is buffers. I'm taking one new folder, buffer. Just create this, nothing else in this. Okay, let us try to create. Suppose in this buffer, so we need to create one test case first. That is, you can consider this name buffer2. Just copy and you can make this any name. Don't worry about this. All right, so we'll do one thing. Okay, so now there is actually here I have a lot of things are there. So login register, login test is there, right? I'll copy this. Login test case is there, right? I'll copy this login test. No need to copy. Better I need to use here. I think cross browser testing we have login details. Yeah, yeah. Cross browser testing we have login details. So let's do one thing. I will remove the values. Okay. So fine. So now how just we created one folder. So in this one test case we got created. That's it. So if you go here tools, click here buffer viewer. In this buffer viewer, if you go there, nothing is there. Everything is empty. You see. Okay, this is old values. Just think, just leave about this. If you create here, it will also add here. Okay. So here just try to create a one buffer. Okay. Try to create a buffer values here. Okay, so I will keep here user, um, okay, I'll keep here name only. Okay, next, one second, buffer 2. All right, so let's in this, let's go to module now. There are I'll show you. Let me extend this next. So here in standard modes are there, right? In standard models, you can see here buffer operations. In this buffer operations, you see partial buffer, set buffer, delete buffer, all this. Okay, so we will see all these differences. First, you see here the buffer T box set buffer. So we will talk about this. This T box set buffer, just simply it will be there in the standard module. So just simply drag and drop here in this buffer too. Okay, so here you can keep any number of buffer names here. You can say here name is mm, USR name, which means username. Okay, USR name. Next one is USR PWD. I can keep like this. USR PWD. USR PWD. Once after creating this, this is this is how you can able to create. If you try to create continuously, you'll get n number of values you can able to store it here. Once after creating this, just simply run this here. Just run this automatically. It will show. Okay, you see. So now it got text got successfully done. So now you see here. These are all previous values. These are all previous values. See here username and password we got. We did not assign any values right so far. So if you want to assign the values, you can assign the values. You can keep here LK Cloud Tech, LK Cloud Tech 6 or 7. You can keep at gmail.com. Okay, your password would be 1234567 8. Okay, that's it. These are all values. You are storing the values here. Buffer, you could see a lot of all values. You see. Oh, okay, that's good. So this is what if you want to, you added here but you could not able to see here right side. You see here, so at my cursor you could not see these values not yet stored. Okay, if you want to replicate this names values here, you just need to run this. Simply you need to run the values which run in the scratch book. Let's see, now it will replicate here once after running this. Okay, okay, so next yeah, you see here again. Yeah, this is what you see, USR name and USR PWD. So now your values, the buffer values got replicated here. And this is set. The set is used to check the whether it is already. For example, if I want to create the buffer name using USR name again, new one, USR, you see, it is already showing, which means USR name is already existed. Whether you want to give the new name, you can able to check here for the cross verifications. That's it. Next. So this buffer we got created. Let's do one thing. So here I got a login test. Okay. In this test, you see here nothing is there. I will call from here. If you want to call the buffer values, you need to give the syntax. What is the syntax for the TCP? The syntax was a CP, configuration parameters. Okay. So now for the buffer, it's just simple. Earlier was, I'll show you in TCP. The syntax is like this. Yeah, CP username, right? Instead of here, instead of this, just nothing, just simple, very simple value. See here, there actually CP is a configuration parameter. So here we just replace with the CP and you can keep the B. B means buffer. You can keep here buffer the value. So like this. Okay. So go to the login. Simply you are calling there. Okay, username. But we should not give the username. What we have to call USR name. USRNAME. That's it. Again here, what is that? USR password. Check the case sensitive. USR PWD. Actually, this is my. So I need to call with this email. Let me check. That's it. Save it and try to run this test case. Just try to run the test case. Let's see. Okay, try to run this. I thought to run this, but I did not yet. Yeah, it's open. Login. It is automatically doing. See, trying to enter the values. Login. Yeah, you got it right. You entered this. So and also closed browser. The test case successfully done. You see the green color and you see all the steps. user credentials, everything, one by one steps got successfully done. So which means successfully we created the buffer values, and also we called the buffer values using the syntax. So B username and B password or something like that. For example, in this buffer values, if you see, for suppose all of a sudden I have changed like this and just simply saved. I just ran the buffer. That's it. Okay. If I use like this, just try to run this. So let's see. It will. If you do like this, it automatically replace the value. See this? This is overridden the value. This is overridden the value. You should not do like this in the real time. Okay, if you want to add new item here, just need to add the buffer separately. Okay, so earlier it was ran with the LK Cloud Tech 7, but now it is replaced with the LK Cloud Tech. Let's see. Let's try to run this. Yeah. So some values are getting. It is able to log in. Yes, that's it. Yeah. So you could see, and one more thing here, one more observation. Actually, I just here kept to use the username and password with the same credentials, but it is not overlapped. Okay. Because we called here in the login credentials, we just called only username and user password. If you keep the number of duplicates also, that will not affect your login test case because you called only this. Okay. Okay. For suppose if you call these credentials for the other test case at a time in the same test case, if you call like that, then that would be a problem. Okay, so that is for storing area. We are keeping here, we are storing. It's a kind of storage area. You can keep all the values here wherever you want. You can able to call like this. This is how buffer values we can able to use like this, right? That's it. Okay, what is the major differences between TCP and buffer in Tosca? Features: TCP Tosca command processor, it is a buffer. Purpose: executes and controls the test steps. So it stores the values dynamically. Role: you see, what is the role? Execution engine, memory storage. This is memory storage. Okay. This is wait synchronization. This is to store ID token. So no test execution, no value reuse, like that. Which means without it, I am asking. Just simply just try to read this, try to understand these two. Without it, no test execution, no value reuse. So for reuse purpose, if you want to use, you can use buffer. Okay. Examples, you can use wait or synchronization execution, store or ID token, role, execution engine. This is a memory storage. Okay. So this is a purpose. What is the purpose? The purpose is executes the and controls the test steps. It stores the value dynamically. That's it. Okay. That is a major difference between TCP and Tosca. And one more concept we have is actually library for reusable purpose that we will talk about later. Okay. That's it. This is all about test TCP. Oh, and do have different types of TCP. Sorry, buffer action mode. So we have static buffer, dynamic buffer, okay, set buffer. So I will show you in the modules. You see in the modules, see tbox name to the buffer, tbox delete buffer, tbox set buffer, tbox partial buffer. Okay, we have just simply created a buffer, and we just discussed what is our use of buffer, what is the purpose of buffer is to store the value, and you can wherever you want to you can call it. That simply, that is the purpose only. Okay. TCP in the students, TCP also like this, but it is in the test case level, it is in the project level, it is in the root level. There is a purpose for that actually. Okay, that is in the engine level. This is in the reusable purpose, and it will store the values. This is how. Okay, whenever you want to call, you can call it in the different multi workspaces. Also, you can use. You can use in the multi workspaces. Buffer you can able to use in the multi workspace, but TCP is not like that. But TCP in the same workspace only, you have to recall them. You can use them inside same in workspace. But buffer you can call, you can save, you can store the values, you can call anywhere across a different workspaces, multi workspaces. You can able to use the buffer. That's it. That is a major. And also we do have one more similar concept called libraries. That is also like that, reusable purpose. Whatever the reusable. For suppose in test cases we do have some modules will be there. For example, you open URL, wait, okay, and close browser. These are all actually reusable for every applications. For right, these can we can able to store in the libraries. That we will see it later. So far, just try to understand. We just only discussed about how to create the buffer, what is buffer, use of buffer, difference between TCP and buffer. This is what. That's it. So next class we are going to discuss about the different types of buffers. What are the types of buffer? What is set box buffer, delete and dynamic buffer, static buffer. Major difference between dynamic buffer and static buffer. That's it. Okay. That's it. I can make it next class better. So we can make 2 classes for this. So until then, so I do have a less time. The time is permitting very much less. So that's the reason I have taken this much only for so far. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for joining. Take care.